was the speech these delegates have waited 4 nights to hear. Vice President Kamala Harris accepting her party's presidential nomination and laying out her vision for the future of our country.
I promise to be a president for all Americans. You can always trust me to put country above party and self.
Thank you for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Edie Lambert.
And I'm Ty Steele. It was just over a month ago when President Biden announced he was withdrawing from the presidential election. And tonight it was Harris on stage accepting her party's nomination.
The future is always worth fighting for. And that's the fight we are in right now, a fight for America's future.
KCRA 3's Gulston Dart has been anchoring our coverage from Chicago all week. He joins us live right now. So, Gulston, this was the most important speech of Kamala Harris's career so far. What reaction did you see there in the United Arena?
Well, I got to tell you, Edie, I mean, it's been a busy, boisterous 4 days here in Chicago at the United Center, and there was a lot of energy from day one. Of course, all that built up today, and they were just excited for Kamala Harris to finally have her say as she accepted the nomination from her party for presidential candidate. So it was kind of like this big release after she came out on stage, and the moment was really special. It was emotional and it was energetic. And, well, the party's been over for about 2.5 hours, but just take a listen as to what happened when she ended her speech and the balloons came down. So she started off her speech tonight by basically saying, let's get to business. It was a strong, upbeat, thoughtful, measured speech. She touched on all the items and subjects that she needed to hit on tonight, talking about Joe Biden, saying that his record is extraordinary, thanking him. Talked about growing up as a teen in Oakland with a single mom, and it was she and her sister. And then talked about her career later on after graduating from college as a San Francisco district attorney and California attorney general. She also went after Trump, talking about the January 6th riot at the Capitol, his legal troubles, also warning that he would further abuse his powers if reelected. She did touch on what she calls creating an opportunity economy, although it was light on details. She also talked about abortion, something the Democrats have not shied away from during this DNC, and then talked about also securing the border. Interesting, though, because she had been in charge with that very thing as vice president in the Harris Biden administration, and went on to talk about foreign policy, saying that we stand with Ukraine and NATO allies, also talking about Gaza, saying that now's the time to get a hostage ceasefire deal, and also saying that the Palestinians have been suffering and it is heartbreaking. And right after the balloons dropped, we had a chance to rush down to the floor and talk to the California delegates to get their immediate reaction. Here's some of that.
We've just watched history. We've seen, hopefully, the end of Trump. And I couldn't be happier and more proud of this country.
Feel energized and confident and hopeful. I believe in Kamala. She's our sister, she's our daughter, she's the most qualified candidate, and I'm just glad to be here in this moment. My parents, my grandparents would have loved to see this moment. For a black woman to be the nominee for the Democratic Party is amazing. And I get emotional when I talk about it, so that's how I feel.
Extremely joyous and inspired and thankful that Kamala is here, and just proud of her and so inspired for the future of our country. It's hard to believe that we can have the privilege of having a leader like Kamala Harris in the White House.
It's electric. It is definitely, we're definitely feeling the electricity go through the party right now, so I'm excited.
I mean, how are you able to process all this?
Carefully. You enjoy it. You enjoy the vibe. You're here with good friends that you've known for a while, and we've all known Kamala for a good long time in Northern California, so it's excitement all over the convention.
So just a little taste of what happened on the floor there. Of course, this was Kamala Harris's big night to shine, and here is KCRA 3's Kaylin Norwood now with more on this final day at the DNC.
Vice President Harris speaking to a packed arena to close out the party's convention. She highlighted her journey from the courthouse to the White House and where she believes the country should go as she promised to be a president for all Americans.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
A moment in history. Vice President Kamala Harris formally becoming the first woman of color to accept a party's nomination for president.
The path that led me here in recent weeks was no doubt unexpected. But I'm no stranger to unlikely journeys.
She talked about the moments that brought her here.
My mother would say, stay close. But my father would say, as he smiled, run, Kamala, run. Don't be afraid. Don't let anything stop you.
How her experiences have shaped her politics.
She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it. Do something about it.
Harris shared her vision for the country and what's at stake this election.
The future is always worth fighting for. Future.
A moment in history and also a moment to celebrate. Every person in the United Center was given a wristband tonight. They lit up when Harris walked out on stage. The colors, red, white, and blue. Reporting from Chicago, I'm Kaylin Norwood.
So it was a big party here. Of course, houses and businesses all across the country were having watch parties of their own. And KCRA3's Carolina Estrada is in the newsroom right now. She was hanging out with some folks in Sacramento watching this whole day 4 unfold. Carolina.
Yeah, Golston. Well, dozens gathered in downtown Sacramento tonight to witness what they described as a historic day. And the watch party was organized by women volunteers who say they wanted to be a part of this day. During Vice President Kamala Harris' speech, we saw people cheering with signs up and even some getting emotional. The people that we spoke to tonight say this moment is a moment of hope for them.
She's a presidential candidate for the people. She's looking out for people like me, like anybody, like the people who are sitting here. She wants to make sure that they have food, a good place to live.
I think there's a huge feeling of hope. I think there's a real feeling of freedom and what can be possible, because I don't think this country has been what it can be.
Now, their common goal, they say, is to support Harris as she vows to chart a new way forward for the country. And people were really excited and inspired in downtown Sacramento tonight, Golston. Even people walking by stopped to listen to the speech and be a part of this moment. Back to you, Golston.
Yeah, it's one of those historic moments. Carolina, thank you very much. So, Ty and Edie, as we go back to you, yeah, this part of the race is over, but now this campaign, which is still fledgling when you think about it, just weeks old, they now need to kick it into turbo drive and hit the road and start talking to Americans. They've got 2.5 months before Election Day.
Absolutely. So, you know, the ticket's going to be busy, and also these conventions are really a call to action. You've spent this week talking to the California delegation. So what's their plan as they're now about to fly home?
Well, to a man and a woman, they'll tell you that they are all ready to organize locally, do things like talk to friends, neighbors, people that they work with. And this is about this race, the presidential race. But as you guys know, this is more than just about the top of the ticket. We're talking down ballot races where a win here could mean a lot for other candidates running for Congress, which you might think California is a pretty blue safe state, which it is, but there'll be California volunteers helping other races throughout the country. So that's where some of that muscle will be spent. And speaking of, you know, helping some of those down ballot races, we know that there's at least one particular race, the one where Josh Harder, his congressional district, he is getting some competition there. So you can be assured that there'll be a lot of effort put in helping lift him up and getting him across the finish line in November.
Yeah, Stockton's Republican mayor now entering that race, and both parties are throwing a lot of money into that district. Gulston, thank you so much, and we wish you a safe trip home.
The California Republican Party responding tonight. Republican Party Chairwoman Jessica Malone Patterson saying this in part, quote, "National Democrats have bafflingly looked at California, the state with high unemployment, an exorbitant cost of living, a homeless crisis, a porous border, and rampant crime, and said, yes, please, let's do that to the whole country." She went on to call Harris, quote, radical, saying voters will, quote, look at her home state for some insight on what her leadership could lead to.